Welcome to the Lock and Load Show, broadcasting on the interwebs and gun channels from the biggest rock in the Pacific Ocean with a badass Glock. And also, I brought out the Tavor for this show. Turn on the camera for you guys. Let's see. Find the button. There we go. Still works. Green laser and all. I might update the battery. It's been a crazy week. So let's see what's going on. We had the alert, the ICBM incoming alert. And that video seemed to take off on my channel. 1,300 views in less than 48 hours. But in case you hadn't seen it, let's see if I could punch it up for you real quick. Text messaging. So, right, it's that extreme alert right there. I don't know if it all looks backwards or whatever, but and basically, it just says there's an incoming missile, ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii sea shelter immediately. And then that was at 8:07, and then at 8:45, they finally got out of retraction. There is no missile threat, and never mind. After, so people, it was kind of crazy. People were. There was the news had video of people throwing their, well, not throwing, but putting their children down. They took off the manhole covers off the street and they were putting them down in the sewers to protect them from a radioactive fallout. And I don't know, throwing your children into the sewers is kind of, I mean, there is no fallout. There used to be some fallout shelters, but the state of Hawaii lost them. There was like a dozen on Oahu, and they just lost where they were. And they passed a bill to ask the government, FEMA, to help them find where they were if they still existed. And I don't know how you lose like a dozen fallout shelters, nuclear fallout shelters from the Cold War era, but the state did. And if you believe what the state told you, the press conference was rather ridiculous. I mean, the emergency manager for the state of Hawaii came out, and the reporters asked him who pushed the button. And all he said was another personnel question. In other words, he was more afraid of the government employees union than he was afraid of any North Korean missile threat. So now some people posted, somebody posted something on the comments that they thought that, but they had a link in there, so my spam filter got it. And I saw it later. It was basically claiming that there was a missile and a submarine that fired it, and the military defeated the missile and the sub, and this is just a cover story. But it's a good cover story. I mean, the state of Hawaii being incompetent, that's not necessarily news. It happens every day. So that might be true. Whichever you believe. I'm not too much of a conspiracy theorist, so I didn't let it publish or anything because he had some link in it there. And anyway, for me, all I did was I finished loading up my Scepter, my Scepter 5-gallon water jug with that I had been working on loading it from my reverse osmosis filter. I have a GE reverse osmosis filter under my sink kind, and I think the reservoir is about 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons or something like that. So to load up a 5-gallon jug of water, that Scepter military jug that I had got in, which I showed in my previous video of last final 2017 preps. That it took me a few days of letting the tank refill with filtered water and then putting it, then loading it out of the sink dispenser into the scepter jug. And so I just finished doing that, and that was pretty much it, because I'm basically prepped. I don't, some things I would have liked to have that I don't have for this emergency is radiation detector and iodine tablets. That's about the only things that I think I didn't have. And the most important thing to have is this, a plan. I don't know if it looks backwards just playing it on the video, but it actually says the plan. So write down a plan. Obviously, you have two choices, which are bug in or bug out, and whether you do either one depends on how bad the situation where you live. Now, where I live, I'm going to screen share a map so you guys can see this. Screen share the map. So here's the big island of Hawaii. There are really, I live here right now in Kailua Kona. You can see this, Dusty? You guys can see this? Dusty.
Okay, I got to unmute myself. Yes, I can see it.
All right, so I live in this town called Kailua Kona. The only military base here is just a little firing range. And sometimes there's this port here called Hawaii High, and sometimes the military will, a ship will come in Hawaii High, and they'll bring up some striker battalions over, and they'll do some live fire practice, or they'll just fly in, and there's a tiny airstrip there, and they'll do some mortar practice, artillery practice on this range. And it's the Pahalaloa range, and it's basically right here. And but it's not a significant military target, and certainly not worth wasting a nuke on. And missiles are expensive. Intercontinental ballistic missiles are expensive. So all the military targets, there's basically nothing here worth nuking on this island. Of course, the North Koreans are so stupid. Maybe they just see a picture of the islands and they go, "Oh, this is Hawaii. Let's nuke it," not realizing that this is actually where all the military bases are on Oahu over here. So it's quite a ways. If Pearl Harbor was to get nuked, or Kaneohe, or some of the military bases, the impact on the outer islands would be it's quite a ways away. And so it would be the shipping. If the shipping was disrupted, they do have alternate ports that they can get up and running very quickly. As far as inter-island barges, there would be obviously a disruption of shipping for a while. I don't know how long. It depends what happened after a first strike, or whatever it was. And obviously Pearl Harbor has been attacked before by Japan on December 7th, 1941. That was a long time ago, and they're our friends now. So the nearest target is really Guam. I mean, of any significance, which is somewhere over here. And there's Midway. I'm not too good with this map, but so I live all the way over here, and basically the plan is, my plans are basically, bug in during a peaceful rule of law situation. If there is no rule of law and it gets a little crazy, I'll still bug in. And if it's just people are killing each other over scraps of food, then I will just march down to my car and load. And first I'll bring down ammo, then I'll bring down water, then my last load will be food. And I'll just be like in full battle rattle. Like, I think I can get from my apartment, my condo, to my car without being attacked, and then bug out somewhere in the jungle, like probably. But the reason what I'm not going to do, and what I didn't do, is it'd be a very bad idea to bug out when you don't know if there's going to be any radioactive fallout, because you want to be inside. You don't want to be in a car on the road when there's a radiation flying around through the air. It won't turn out well for you. But the flight time from North Korea to Hawaii is 30 minutes. So if they gave you a warning the instant it launched, then, and it was a real warning, then I can't get very far in 30 minutes. So there's no point in me jumping in the car and driving anywhere, because I'll just get irradiated in the worst case scenario and die. So if I was going to bug out, I would pick one of the forest reserves. In a worst case scenario, it would be some forest reserve, and I would just bug out into the jungle and set up a camp. And hopefully I won't need too many bushcrafting skills, because that's I have some skills, but it's not really my strong suit. But I have enough gadgets and gear and knowledge to get by, I think. And there's enough rainfall on the other side of the island. And there's another thing there is, and you should check this out for your area, is there's and depending on where you live, everything's different, but there's a lot of the absentee owners with empty vacation rentals or just properties that are sitting around unoccupied. And there is this thing called adverse possession. And if nobody's here and there's no rule of law and there's just some empty houses around, well, and you can't stay in the city because people are rioting and killing each other over food, then you can't always bug out to somewhere. And but it's a long road, and my main worry would be roadblocks. And I don't want to have to go through some, and this is a long belt road around the island, and the military or police could block it off pretty easily at any point. Anybody or just bandits or marauders could block off the road pretty easily and sack cars, but ransack cars and pillage whatever they could find, looting and pillaging. It depends how bad things get. But if I can make it into the jungle, I'll be able to last okay for a while, and then just hopefully law and order will be restored, the grid will be back up. Yeah, the only thing that ever worries me is that events overtake you and you just can't bug out safely, and then it's like I don't want to have to resort to violence at all. So it's just I would rather bug out than have to tree the place. You know, I know it's not that hard to tree a condominium complex with if you're willing to use violence, and I'm just not willing to do that. So I just hope everything remains peaceful and people don't just go absolutely nuts. But people were going nuts on Honolulu because there's a bigger threat there. I mean, they were throwing their kids into sewers to I mean, not because they want to get rid of their kids, they want to protect them from any radiation. And there are no shelters. And so basically people didn't know what to do. So that brings you back to having some kind of a plan. It doesn't even have to be a good plan, but at least a plan. Oh, and backup plans. So it helps if you have a book to write things down, exactly what your procedures are, what documents you're going to need, what fake documents you're going to need, whatever you're going to need, you can figure it out. And basically, it was just one of those situations this weekend where it's like nobody knew what to do. But I just refilled my water. I mean, filled up one of my water jugs. I've got other jugs that are filled up already. It was just, well, let's fill up one more jug. And if the water supply becomes irradiated, at least I'll have some water. And it's anyway. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But it goes to show you can't rely on the government because they can't do anything right. I guess that's a constant throughout the universe. I did think it would be really cool I could make, if you needed to, if you had enough ammo, you could use all your ammo to make like a little radiation shelter. You could build like a igloo full, because ammo has lead in it. So that could, if you had enough cases of ammo, you could just stack yourself a really big radiation shelter of ammo. I mean, unfortunately, it's not solid lead, but there's enough to block some. You could build a wall, and if you know what direction the radiation is, be some protection as a last resort. But other than an ammunition igloo, it's just basically if you're already prepped, then you don't have to worry, and if you aren't, then you're just going to be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. So if you weren't a prepper now and you lived in Hawaii, I mean, they tell you to prep for hurricanes. How could you not be prepped for, I mean, it's not all that different except iodine pills, a radiation detector, and a gas mask would be nice. And a bomb shelter would be great, but if those cost a fortune to dig, people are wanting to know why the state of Hawaii doesn't have any bomb shelters, and it's because they lost them. Anyway, so I live all the way down here, and so getting up to the forest reserves. Well, there's some forest reserves locally, but being too near a town, that'd be pretty dangerous forest reserve to leave your car parked if you wanted to keep your car. Somebody would jack it, I think, if you park at any of the obvious forest reserves that people know about. If you go to the back of some of the subdivisions, you might be able to bug out. And again, you have to have some gear and some skills to bug out into the jungle. You just don't want to go into the jungle without a clue. Bugging out without a clue or any preparations will get you killed. But the jungle it doesn't, if you don't respect the power of nature in a place like Hawaii, it kills you. So, but there's a lot of subdivisions here, and there's just looking at it, there's a lot of, at the back of all these subdivisions, there's tons and tons of jungle, and nobody's going to bother you if you bug out into the jungle. And they might wonder what your car is doing parked there, but I mean, they'll have other problems to worry about, like where can we get food and stuff like that. So anywhere back here is bug outable. As far as bug out locations. But again, there's a military base right here by a small military post. I'll call it a post, not a base, by the Hawaii Volcanoes Park right here. And so any of these roads could be blocked off by police or military or looters. It's not that hard to block off a road, the Belt Road, going out around the island. So it helps if you have a bug out location that you can bug out to, but with 30 minutes, there's no way, even if there aren't any roadblocks, to drive all this way up there, up that volcano. And this island is particularly made out of a few different volcanoes. There's Mauna Loa, which is the biggest one. To my knowledge, it rises up out of the seamount. And there's Kilauea down here, which is the active one. Mauna Loa has been active, and it's flowed both ways, down into all the way into Hilo and all the way down through Ocean View into the Kau area, and it could flow into Kona one day, but that's the least likely thing to happen. So there's Kilauea, and here's Mauna Kea, and the military base is kind of between both of them, and it's just a firing range. It's not even much of a base. There's another, these are very dormant volcanoes, and there's another one under the water right around here somewhere. But anyway, that's enough of that screen share, I think. Oh yeah, wait, before I go, there was some interesting, where's that interesting one, the inexpensive bug out little shack that I saw down here. Up on the volcano, let's see, just on the Craigslist stuff for sale. Come on, I saw it earlier. I think they only want $140,000 for it, and it's near the back of one of the subdivisions. Come on, man. I must have scrolled over it. It's not much, but if you don't want to move into the jungle, you want to move into a house instead. Yeah, so bugging out is like your last resort, really. And it really, things would have to be pretty bad in town to bug out. Come on. No, this is not as.
Hello, Squib.
Oh, Squib made it?
I see Squib jumped in.
All right. Oh, okay.
I'm here.
How's the fabrication going?
We're milling out our third block right now.
So you had to mill out something for your fabrication machine or something for plastic fabrication?
We can buy parts from the manufacturer of the machine to change what it does, or we can make the parts ourselves for less money. So they like to make the parts themselves here in-house. Now, my last job, I guess everybody got paid a lot more because we could make all the parts we wanted, but it always costs more than just buying it. So just entirely different thing here. Yeah, if you've never done manufacturing, the maintenance department at a factory does not necessarily just diagnose a problem and change parts. Sometimes they've got to actually make parts for the machine, whether it be a replacement part or a whole custom part.
Hey, I wanted to say hi to everybody out in the external and the internal on gunchannels.com/HVS. Let's see, Mike Helton, Survival Prepping is out there. Crazy Eddie, Rich White. No, I'm not giving too much important strategic info to North Korea. I think they know where Hawaii is, and I think they can go to Google Maps. Informed
Is John Z out there?
I don't see John yet. Let me look on the internal. Mike Helton's got a pretty good prepping channel, and he's the guy that cuts wood, by the way, and somehow found a profitable way to do it in Tennessee.
Mike Helton.
Yeah.
The president of NASCAR.
It's a different Mike Helton, I believe.
Oh.
So Tack Daddy's out there, Rafael Morales, Clay, General Relativity. Yes, sir, General. Well, he's a general, so. But it was basically, I just reevaluated my preps, and I think a radiation detector would be nice, and iodine tablets would be nice. But other than that, I think I'm pretty much ready. I do have plans, not that they're great plans, but I have bug out plans, bug in plans, and all I can do is hope for a peaceful disaster where there's.
What are you ready for?
I'm ready for anything. I'm just hoping for the best. But one ICBM can definitely ruin your whole day. That's for sure. And
that would make a great bumper sticker.
Either that or my Tavor is invincible. One or the other. I did bring it and show it off at the start of the show because people kept asking about my Tavor. So I'll turn on camera and show it one more time just for shits and giggles. Let's see if I can find the button to do that. I just, the whole thing with North Korea, all the Hawaii politicians started coming on the news network TV shows and blaming Donald Trump for not dealing with the North Korean situation. And I mean, he's been in office a year, and North Korean War started in the 50s. So anyway.
Yeah, I've been watching this documentary on the Korean War lately. It's called MASH.
It's not a documentary, and that's not Korea. It's the Coral Canyon in Malibu. I used to live in Coral Canyon in Malibu, and this is my Tavor, and it rocks. It rocks the apocalypse, man. You don't want to be on the business end of this sucker. Of course, it's not a minigun, but
You got a single point sling for that?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those slings, but on a bullpup, it'll work. It'll work pretty good.
I got a pretty awesome sling for this. I haven't done a video of the sling, but it's not right on the rifle right now. It's in my one of my range / bug out big utility bags. I have this gigantic bag that I kind of like bring to the range. I mean, it's a huge, like a luggage bag almost. And but Tavor's got the MSC optic, red dot, and 3x magnifier, and LaRue flipped aside on the mount for the magnifier, and it rocks. It's my 5.56 weapon. Oh, by the way, there's a sale on AK mags. If you're into AKs, I saw Classic Firearms got the 40-round Bulgarians for like $7.99, and that's a steal. That'll be something that sells for a lot if the Democrats win the midterms, and they're cheap. So don't buy them out from under me before. I haven't placed an order yet, but I will probably right after the show. I'll do a screen share of that if I can find it 1 second. But I'm sure you guys all know where Classic Firearms is. And I also wanted to do a shout out to a couple YouTube channels. One person he was on the show once before a long time ago. He's Madras Arsenal. He's actually going from the reserves to active military right now in the Army. And he said he's upgrading his MOS. I hope I get this right, from artillery to anti-aircraft artillery. And he's going active duty. So I wanted to thank him and give him a shout out. So I got a few screen shares to do. I need to find the damn button to do that. 1 second, guys. Screen share. Good luck. Oh, well, here's screen share. Anybody know who that is? Squib.
Sam Colt?
Right. And my dad's sending me a book that he had. Sorry. Let me get a drink.
You better take some scotch for that cough.
Way ahead of you, man. Way ahead of you.
I'm just saying it's medicinal, you know.
Yeah, ever since Dusty told me that alcohol was a blood thinner, I don't do a show without it. Yeah. Pepsi and Jack Daniels. So, yeah, he's sending me a book. And here's some pages from it.
You do realize the Jack Daniels would be better without the Pepsi.
Let's not get into that one. Here's the book.
No, I was thinking he needs to try some burners with that.
Well, here's one thing I have been adding to my preps is lots of whiskey. I've got Dewar's, I've got Tullamore Dew, I've got Jack Daniels, I've got the Glenlivet.
So let me ask you this: have you considered your own still?
Budk does just sell those, but they don't ship to Hawaii. And again, it's a problem if I live in a condo right now. So I have a bug out location where I could set up a still.
Okay.
If you would like to manufacture one for me and send it to me, that'd be okay. Let's see. So my dad received this gift from a relative, and he's actually sending it to me. I didn't ask him to send it to me, but he is. And so, because he knows I'm into guns. And we were talking about Captain Ball revolvers, and hopefully we'll be able to get Murphy's Muskets on. Now let me go and find the Madras Arsenals page, because he sells kukris and a few other things, and he's got a pretty cool channel, and I like to support our active military friends. But anyway, so let me find it. Here
Ain't
it
a
is.
kukri a Gurkha knife?
Yes, it is.
Don't fuck with them Gurkhas.
Yeah, he actually. Well, you'll see what the motto of the Gurkhas is. Actually, if I could hit the right button. I have way too many windows open. Right. I hear it's cold in Tennessee, by the way. So and it's how cold is it in Michigan right now?
Cold.
Cold. That's the thermometer reading.
Cold.
Okay, can you see this guy? So this is Madras Arsenal's channel. He does some reenacting, World War I and Boer War, and he's got I think there's some of the guns he shoots on his show, besides the kukris he sells. Or he's got a Henry Martini, and let's see. So there he is as one of his British reenactors.
Martini Henry.
Martini Henry. Well,
yep.
Yeah,
and
that's where your Henry rifles came from, right?
No, different Henry. Entirely different Henry.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yep. And he's got some interesting stuff, including his trading company. And here he is. And like I said, he's just going from reserves to active duty in the Army and changing his MOS. And
of course,
go ahead.
I was going to say Colt and Henry was in partnership too, weren't they?
Who did he work for?
I'll let you know after I read the book.
Yeah, I can't remember if he worked for Colt or not.
I'm thinking he did. I think because that's where he got his design then for a lever action rifle to sell to the military, and
I know that
basically change the Civil War.
Some of the gun manufacturers and designers, like some of the manufacturers bought the patents off the designers, and some of the designers jumped from company to company, just like they do today with engineers jumping from company to company. So, I mean, didn't Browning work for 3 different companies at some point? I mean, not all at the same time, but
so.
Yeah. So
here's the Gurkha's motto: "Better to die than be a coward." Gurkha motto. And here's some kukris that he's selling. Anyway, check his YouTube channel out. Throw him a sub, and tell him HVS sent you. And I also added. So I added Madras Arsenals to my associated YouTube channels on my YouTube page, and also Edge 4006, who does his Friday show. And we're hoping to get, because he's a friend of Murphy's, from Murphy's Muskets, who's really familiar with all kinds of black powder kinds of weapons. And so, sure, he did. I specifically asked this guy if he had any cap and ball revolvers, but he doesn't. So, not everybody has everything. But anyway, what else was on here? Oh, here it is. Bulgarian 40. Here's the sale of classic firearms. So if you got a AK, you can get these slab side polymers for $7.99, which is pretty cheap for 40 round. And those will only go up in value if the Democrats win the midterms. I hope they don't, but don't buy them all out before I buy a few more, because I'm addicted to these AK mags. I mean, I don't care how many boxes of AK mags I have. There's always room for one more. I mean, that's a pretty decent price, I think. And here's another interesting website you guys might like, Mike'sMilitaria.com. They've got a bunch of stuff, military stuff, hats and helmets, uniforms. I think I don't know if today was the last day to get a Polish Kevlar helmet, but let's see. There's just a lot of interesting stuff here. Like if you're into reenactment or you're just interested in the stuff. Russian helmets, Swedish helmets, Hungarian helmets. Some of them are sold out, unfortunately. Like the World War I helmets are all sold out. Page 2, I think, to show you the World War. They had them. Here's something you guys might like: Swiss World War II style winter caps, gray wool and sheepskin liner. But like the World War I and 1917 Brodie helmet reproductions are sold out, as well as a British World War I helmet. I don't know if anybody wants to be a German field marshal. Anyway, and they've got all kinds of interesting stuff. Let's see. Anyway, it's a pretty cool website if you're into milsurp stuff. Check 109 backpack. I'm sorry, 1960 backpack. Y-strap frame. Not too familiar with how that works. Anyway, so yeah, it's been pretty. It's like since I'm into all this stuff, I was already prepared. I mean, maybe people who weren't prepared were panicking and throwing their children into the sewer basically through manholes. Literally, they're doing that, and clearly the state isn't prepared. But I feel like I'm more prepared than anybody around here. So it's just a question of not panicking, remaining calm. This one looked interesting. I might get this one. Romanian's World War II style backpack. I'm gonna probably butcher the pronunciation of this. Veshevoy Meshach backpack. Meshach backpack. It's pretty interesting old style backpack, but it looks like it will work. It looks like a bag with a strap almost, but the way it's set up. I think there's a saying that a friend of mine who used to build tube gears at the set used to say, those who are wise will take something from the past into the future. Anyway, so if you're interested, that's mikesmilitary.com. We're into some of this old stuff. For whatever reason, it's interesting. It's an interesting website. All right. I don't have too much more on the everybody going insane topic in Hawaii. I guess they didn't have far to go. What did you guys think about the whole thing?
Well, I want to say it was funny, but it probably wasn't.
Not if you're on Oahu. That's that. Not if you're at ground zero. It wouldn't be funny. I just didn't panic because I know there's nothing here worth wasting a missile on. Of course, they may just not know that there's different parts of Hawaii and nuke the biggest part because they don't know what the hell they're doing. But or they may just have bad guidance system.
Their programming, yeah. And it got 100 miles off a destination.
Well, we're way more than 100 miles away from Oahu, so it's a North Korean missile threat. I don't know. It's I think I said we should have nuked them up a few months ago.
Look, man, every time you say North Korean missile, I just picture one of those Estes rockets.
Estes rockets? What's that?
You know those model rockets you can buy at like the Rural King or whatever?
Well,
yeah, didn't you do those when you was a kid, Hawaii?
I built all the time. I built models of airplanes and battleships and aircraft carriers when I was a kid. That's the military stuff I was into.
Oh man, somewhere I have all kinds of launch pads for them. I have a bunch of them actually somewhere.
So you're a missile man.
Oh, when I was a kid, I used to love playing with those. Nowadays, they would say that's too dangerous for a kid to play with.
And now the North Koreans are playing with the same ones.
Yep.
I think I'll see what the YouTube external and gun channels text is saying. Go ahead.
One thing I did see or hear on the news is Hawaii learned that they was very unprepared for a situation like this. And the legislators are all trying to figure out, do we need a plan? Now they realize they have no plan.
They are like chickens running around with their heads cut off, and they're still like running around.
What if they dug massive massive shelters underneath the cities, or would they hit a lava tube if they do that?
Well, there's I'm trying to read, and it's
Okay.
tough digging into it's tough digging into sheer black lava rock. You need all kinds of pneumatic drivers and bits, and it's not. I mean, there's a few specific companies that do that, and they charge a lot of money. And I mean, the problem is the state of Hawaii trying to do anything, they can't do anything right. I mean, they've been working on just expanding the highway through Kona, just the main highway, just the main road, adding one lane on each side. And it's been like 10 years and it's still not done. And that's how bad it is.
That's because every time they get done, a lava flow comes in and burns it up.
No, it's more like if anybody finds a bone of any kind, then everybody has to stop, do an archaeological survey, and then bones have to be moved and buried somewhere else. And hopefully it's more than just not just some dead animal. But it was a burial of something that happened like in the 1800s or earlier, and everything stops, and there's like a 2-year delay while they figure out what to do, and
but that could be important. What if they find Amelia Earhart or something?
Well, they just find stuff, and if they find like a bone, everything stops, literally. But I mean, literally, can you imagine if it takes them 10 years to do a 1-lane widening of the main highway, how long it would take them to actually dig a bomb shelter big enough for it? It would take them eternity.
Well, I was just wondering.
We'll be on World War V before they dig a bunker for World War III.
Around here, if you dig down about 30 inches, you hit water. So I could just imagine over there, if you dig down 30 inches, you hit lava. Probably not good.
Well, not 30 inches. No, it's not. It's a lot deeper than that.
I mean, tell us the truth. Is the ground hot when you walk on it? I mean,
depends where you're walking, man. It depends. Some parts it is. In some parts, the ground will collapse out from under you, and you could fall into a crevasse and never be heard of again. Or you can fall into an active lava flow. It depends. You have to know where you are. And no, Mike, I don't have any traps set back. I'll have to go find a pig in the jungle, pretty much right now.
So would a nuclear blast set off the volcano?
I don't think they could send Dog the Bounty Hunter over. Well, if they, I don't think so. I mean, if they sent one right into I don't think, first of all, they have that capability of that kind of accuracy, and if they sent it in to Kilauea, that's already erupting. I mean, if they shoot it into the caldera, it would just melt before it could explode. It would be great if they were really accurate. Let's blow up the volcano. They launch a missile. It goes right into the Kilauea caldera, and it lands right in the lava, and then it just melts instead of blowing up.
Not if it's airburst, dude.
Well, I don't think that North Korea knows what they're doing yet as far as re-entry vehicles and programming airbursts. I mean, if they want to do,
they're probably a little behind on that.
If they want to do since Mike helped and asked, I did, when I was in better shape, go to Sonny's little boxing place where Sonny, if you remember from the Dog the Bounty Hunter show, that guy knows how to fight. You don't want to get into a boxing match with Sonny. I mean, but he gave me a few boxing lessons when I was before I survived open heart surgery. But I really found although at the time I could bench 300 pounds and I thought I could do anything, I really did not have the cardio to do boxing. Boxing is all about cardio. But I knew some of those guys. It's just, they're mostly on Oahu because there's one not on the. Leland has an office. Leland is from the Big Island, but their main office is in Honolulu because that's where the money is, right? Let's see. Locks, rocks, and whatnots. Key holding at what range? Well, I'm not sure who's talking about what. People are talking about defensive handgun. Let's see. I'm trying to follow what you guys are saying and the external. There's a lot of people out there in the external, just James, Locksrocks and What's Nots, and people are having discussions and trying to keep up with everything. Doing a show isn't as easy as it used to be. You got externals and internals. Clay didn't know what happened. Okay, glad General Relativity found he's going to buy. Don't buy all the AK mags, though. Save a few for me, man. 21.
He's in Michigan, Squib.
21 degrees in.
Who's in Michigan?
General Relativity.
General Relativity.
He's on the gunchannels.com.
He's on the gun channel size. He said he lives in Ipsy.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Ypsilanti. Yeah, it's halfway between Dusty and me.
Yes.
Well, geez, you guys need to form a prepper group.
Ypsilanti is named after a Greek general. But if you're not from Michigan, you would say Ypsilanti.
I would just keep driving because if I can't pronounce the town, I'm not going to stop there. So everybody in Michigan, if the shit hits the fan, just bug out to Dusty's farm and he'll take care of you. Or he'll find some work for you to assign you to do. Building guard towers, planting stuff if it's summer, I guess.
Fabricating hedgehogs.
Fabricating hedgehogs, something like that. Well, the external on YouTube looks more busy than the internal on gun channels, but
hey, it's good to be popular.
Yeah, yeah, well, Jesse, I think everybody just likes to talk to me because they know it's warm here and they're freezing cold over there. That's what it is.
You're not making it any warmer. I'm sitting inside my pickup truck in the parking lot, freezing my ass off. So you're not making it any warmer, Hawaii.
Well, do you want me to screen share a picture of the sunshine or something and try to warm
only if that's going to heat things up. At least it stops snowing.
This is how dedicated the people are on this panel, man. I mean, we have people that actually freeze outside in a car just to be on this show. I mean,
car nothing. I drive a truck, man.
Okay, what kind of truck do you drive?
A cold one. No, I've got a diesel engine, so if I sit here and idle it, it's not going to warm up. It only seems to warm up when I drive. So I can't turn on the heater. It's not gonna do anything. But I will say this: my head is definitely warm because I'm wearing my Ushanka. So,
all right, man. I wish you could turn that picture of that thing on really quick on your phone. But you're on your phone; you can't do that, right?
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah, we see it.
Can you see it? There you go. That's a dome light.
Yeah, that works, man. Is it keeping you warm?
Only my head.
All right. Well, the rest of you doesn't matter till later.
Hey, I very stupidly froze my hands to the point where they started to crack and bleed yesterday because I was out at the range. It was 16 degrees, and I was shooting my black powder revolvers.
Awesome. How did it go?
I experienced 3 jams. And
jams.
Yeah. Yep. I tried to pack too much powder in the cylinders. And when you go to press the ball in, it's only going to go so far.
Right.
So it'll jam. I actually had to pull out my knife and shave the lead off, and it only comes off in very, very thin strips. And yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of fun. But when your fingers start to freeze up and you can't move them, it's really hard to do stuff like measure the powder and put the percussion cap on and things like that. So that my revolvers don't like the cold very, very much, but
we got to move to a warmer climate.
Yeah, that's the plan eventually.
I almost came and picked you up yesterday, Squib. I was thinking about going to Novi to the fishing expo that they had there.
Okay, where I work is literally 5 minutes away. I pass it when I come into work, and every time I keep looking for the sign that says gun show next week. So it's gonna be bad.
Okay, somebody on the YouTube side, Locks Rocks and whatnot, says it sounds like you don't have enough twist to stabilize the heavier bullet, or your barrel is too short and they are going subsonic too quick, or not at all. No, you're saying it's before you shoot it. It just.
I don't think he's talking about my black powder revolvers.
Okay, I'm sorry. No. Maybe he's talking about something else. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but it's getting ahead of me. I don't have any hog snares. Go ahead.
Reading may not be one of your strong points, man.
Well, reading at like 1,000 miles an hour is not. See, Rich made.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, so I can't see any of the chats. I can't see any of that stuff. So unfortunately,
right. That's why I'm trying to read it to you. That's why I'm trying to read it to you.
Oh well, thanks.
Mike says he's sitting by his wood stove, and it's warm. That he's got a big wood stove in his house.
I'm going to refrain from responding to Mike.
Okay, I know you have a disagreement over the financial feasibility of chopping wood for a living, but
no, not that at all. He's warm and I'm not. No, chopping wood is good exercise. That's about it.
Okay, I'm going to stay out of this one.
You don't get rich doing it.
Right, I have no comment. Other than
you don't get rich buying Bitcoin either.
Well,
no, I know.
I tell you, it's been going pretty good lately. But we'll see how it goes by the end of the year as far as the whole cryptocurrency thing goes. There's a possibility of a government shutdown on Friday. You know, in case you haven't heard.
They were shut down. They were shut down today because it's a federal holiday. So what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, the difference is that it saves us money. Actually, it costs more. It costs more if they shut down. It costs the government more money if they shut down than if they stay open. Believe it or not. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's government for you. It doesn't have to make sense. It just costs money.
All right. The next show in Novi Squib is February 24th and 5th.
It's not.
This weekend's
it's only Saturday and Sunday, not Friday as well.
Be the 24th and 25th.
I think you need a wood-burning stove in your truck.
Yeah, I'll convert it. Yeah, because some of the shows are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because if it was a Friday, then I could go up there before I go to work and walk around and look. Buying something might be a problem, but yeah.
Actually, the only 3-day shows is Lansing.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. The one at Novi, is it a gun show or is it antique arms?
A gun show.
Okay.
This is Michigan gun shows.
Okay.
I know this past weekend was a 3-day show because.
Where at?
At Novi, but it was the fishing show.
So I'm trying to get this straight from you, Squib, because you were telling me it's a pain. Your ball and cap revolver, or black powder revolver, doesn't do well when it's cold. But you're also saying that it doesn't do well when it's hot and humid either. So.
When it's hot and humid, the moisture can get in there and it'll gum up the gunpowder and make it not work, not combust.
Right. Well, what I was really interested in with regard to black powder was the possibility black powder revolvers was the possibility of chain fires. Have you ever actually seen a chain fire happen on a black powder revolver or anything?
No, I haven't. But that bore butter, that's another thing that it does. When you put it over the cylinder, or not the cylinder. See, I did this. I shot a video, and I kept calling the damn chamber a cylinder, and that's why I won't publish the video, because I'm so upset with myself that I kept exchanging the term. The cylinder is the piece that rotates, and it has 6 chambers, or in the case of my Lamat, 9. And, if you put the bore butter over top of the ball on the chamber, or in the chamber, then there's no way a spark's going to get in there. Even then, that lead ball, that seats in there so tight, you're really just not going to get a spark in there. So I've never experienced it.
Well, my understanding is that a chain fire happens when on the back end of the cylinder there's somehow the black powder is spread out along the backside of the towards the shooter, facing the shooter of the cylinder, and the percussion cap goes off and ignites all 6 chambers at once, or in your case 9. And
they're not tied together. The chambers are not.
But the black powder, if there's loose black powder on the back of the revolver, then how would you get it on the back of the cylinder? You load it through the front. Being leakage, I don't know. That's my understanding of how a chain fire happens.
I've never had any come dumping out of the nip. I don't put the caps on first. I put the caps on last, but I've never had any black powder come through the nipple. So it's a small opening. You can fit a pipe cleaner in there when you go to clean it out. I mean, it's not really that big. I guess hypothetically, the powder is granules. It could fall through before you put the percussion cap on, but
yeah. And the problem was before they had the Winchester or Henry or Spencer repeating rifles, is that they tried revolver action rifles, and the problem is that if you do have a chain fire, then your left hand is in front of the cylinder holding the grip, and then you lose your offhand.
I guess that could happen, but I have never experienced a chain fire. I've never had any powder leaking around the back or anything like that. Now, I have had the residue gum up the mechanism. I mean, it does work its way in. When you go to wash it, you'll get all kinds of stuff out of there. But I'm not saying it's not possible. I just haven't experienced it.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Now, can you substitute powder in that?
So I've used Pyrodex, and I've used black powder both, and now, I've never used Pyrodex in my Lamat. I've always used black powder, but in my Walker, I've used both. And
it's like the metallurgy is different for the older pistols, and I guess the newer gunpowders might be too powerful for some of the older metallurgy.
Well, you reduce them by about 20%.
Yeah, I mean, I would not. Yeah, I would not. If I had a real one, not a replica, and I wanted to shoot it, I would not pack it with as much powder. I can tell you, I can get 28 grains in my Lamat, and that shoots a 451 ball. And I can get 65 grains in my Walker, and that shoots a 457 ball.
By the way, John Z is back in the external, so hello to John.
Send him a link.
I was just curious.
Send him a link.
I was just curious because my muzzle loader, I like a powder called buckhorn. I mean, in my deer rifle muzzle loader, that powder shoots
now they've
great.
got that
it's
for muzzle loading rifles, but they don't have buckhorn, as far as I know, for cap and ball revolvers yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, if I ever get off my duff and get one, which I'd really like to have a reproduction Enfield or something like that, but these modern muzzle loaders are pretty nice. Yeah, buckhorn is a powder I would try for sure. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I have, a Thompson Center Encore, and that's what I run in it.
All right, I'm gonna just post a link in the external. If anybody wants to come in, they can come in. Yes, this is a party at Ground Zero, because this isn't really Ground Zero, but this is as close as I could get for a good idea for this week's show, given the ICBM.
So HVS, well, I guess we got to get you black powder firearms and everything that goes with it in order to shoot them, and some sort of portable still, and a Geiger counter.
And a Geiger counter and some iodine tablets. I'll be good to go. I'll wait on the infinity pool until cryptos take a moonshot, or Scold and Silver do.
Now, what if they dug the pool, but you said dig it a little deeper, and then you put the bunker underneath the pool? Huh?
Well, I'd rather just buy a place with a lava tube, because then I don't have to pay anybody to dig through lava rock, which is expensive. And God help you if they find some old bones, because then everything falls to a stop. And
just tell them they're chicken bones.
You have to have an archaeological survey done if you don't want to go to jail. Let's see. All right, so I think I copied everything. Now let me get to the external, and I'll try and post a link. If anybody wants to come in, you're more than welcome. Because this is just a party at Ground Zero. But it's not, it's not letting me post to my own stupid thing. I think I need to reload this page, the external page that I'm watching. Maybe I could just send people a link. Try and do that.
PM through gun channels.
Well, it's not everybody is on gun channels. I can't be at like 10 places at once. So
why not?
Let's see, gun channels. We have General Relativity, Clay.
I posted a link in gun channels. I'll send one. If you haven't been on, you can join gun channels, and then I post a link in there. It's gunchannels.com/HVS. It's free to sign up if you're interested. I'm going to try and get a link out there. Give me a minute.
Another new one that I've never talked with, from California.
Yeah,
that must be somebody from California, right?
I have in the live chat. Hey,
try and get people some links out there. Well, I'm trying to get my folks out of California, but like one of them wants to leave and one of them wants to stay. So my dad's over 80 and he can make his own decisions about listening to his wife. They've been married forever though. So anyway, let's see. Somebody sent me something.
you need to find them a place in Arizona that has an infinity pool.
Do they have infinity pools in Arizona?
I have no idea. I know the water evaporates pretty fast.
Well, they have cactus.
Yes, they do.
I'm trying to send out PMs because for some reason I can't type in my own chat. I'm going to try again.
You were banned from your own show.
I'm bad. I looked at some of Mouse Toe's cooking videos, and I just need to know what those Cajun spices were because I couldn't even figure out how to spell them.
You didn't see any Kraft macaroni and cheese or any spam in
I
any
saw
of her
macaroni.
videos.
I saw macaroni, and I wrote a comment that the part where she used macaroni, I got excited.
But was it no? If it's macaroni and noodles, that's not the same as Kraft macaroni and cheese.
It was that Hungarian goulash recipe with macaroni noodles in it.
I didn't see that one. I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
Yeah, Mouse does his YouTube channel, and she does a lot of she's a prepper. And she does a lot of good cooking, and that's something some of us guys need to work on is our cooking skills.
Goulash sounds good.
It looks pretty good.
Midnight Range TM does cooking videos as well. He's the other Travis. Sometimes we call him Food Travis. He's a chef at a restaurant in Philadelphia, and he does a show about 10:30 on Sunday night, although last night he came on early, and he jumps into other shows like Caliber Corner on Saturday mornings and whatnot. He's a reloader, and he's a chef, and he does cooking videos. So yeah, check both Mouse Toes and Midnight Range TM out if you want to learn how to cook something different.
All right.
I will, because I like to cook. I probably cook 90% of our meals.
Not me. That's what I got a wife for. And there went all of our female viewers.
All three of them. All one of them. Or something.
My wife will tell you, don't let him in the kitchen. He'll burn the damn house down. She'll call me if the garbage disposal breaks or the pipes plug or the sink don't work or the handle comes off the stove or something, I'm there to fix things or to reach something on the top shelf. But otherwise, stay the hell out of her kitchen.
Now, see, my wife's the other way around. Of course, my wife works all day long, and I'm home all day long. So she would rather that I cook during the daytime. Then when she gets home from work, she doesn't have to cook.
I think it's that Google won't let me. It'll let me type, but it won't let me post links. Okay, it's like incredibly stupid.
It's a Google conspiracy.
Yeah, they don't want us to talk about cooking incoming nuclear missiles or anything like that. I didn't even monetize the show, but you can. There is an address where you can send us Bitcoin or send me Bitcoin.
I should have known that was coming.
Of course.
So what are you trying to do?
What am I trying to do? Jano came in the external. Boy, I had a question I wanted to ask.
He made He's been making comments for a while.
Oh, on the gun channel side?
Yeah.
Okay, he was in the external on the YouTube side, though.
Get in here, Dano.
Yeah, get in here, Dano.
Yeah. I'll put a link on the external. I can't. Let me put it. I'll try and figure this out. A second.
I want
There's
to
a
know
little
what
button
it
that says
means.
send all.
Send all. Yeah. Let's see. Well, you put the links on the. Here, I'll put the link on the gun channel site, gunchannels.com/HBS. And there's the there it is. So go to gun channels site if you're
There. You got it there now. I spot it.
all right. So as far as this whole nuclear threat, I mean, there is a nuclear threat eventually, but I think that the main threat will be if U.S. troops invade North Korea, then they don't need a missile. They could just blow one up on their own territory and take out as many people with them. But blowing up nukes in your own territory is kind of dumb. But I don't think we're accusing North Korea of being excessively smart.
No, and you're missing the big point here. If they ever fire a nuclear weapon, we are in big trouble. And it doesn't matter that if you're on Hawaii or where. If they fire one, we are going to respond. If we respond, China's going to respond. If China responds, Russia's going to respond.
You missed the point. You missed the point in your own sentence. You said if we fire one.
No, if
Fire
they fire
one. Fire one.
No, I'm saying if Korea ever launches one towards Hawaii.
Okay, that was a reference to the Bedford incident where somebody says, "I'm not going to fire one unless he fires one first," and then the captain says that to observing officer, and then the weapons officer says, "Fire one," and he launches
another obscure movie reference.
Well, just all I'm saying is be careful before you say "fire one." Because somebody may misinterpret it.
Dusty, don't pick up the red phone. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a red phone.
When I was a kid, I had a red phone because I bought it in red. I mean, my rotary was a red phone because Batman had one in Batman, the original Batman TV show. That probably was before your time too.
If I remember it correctly, it also had a little red light that would flash.
Wasn't that just to call Commissioner Gordon directly?
I think so.
Yeah.
How many of you guys have used dial phones?
Most of my life.
Yeah, I had one for quite a while. But what we really need is to put up some kind of pineapple searchlight. So if somebody if the government gets in trouble, they could call HBS. They just put a big pineapple searchlight into the sky, and then I'll come and save them.
That's your signal?
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's going to get all the SpongeBob aficionados out there.
Yeah. You'll be like, oh, they're calling me. Yeah, and then it's a bunch of kids with Nickelodeon. And
well, I'll be the only one with a divorce, so.
I don't know. Squidward might be armed. Oh, no, he's got a clarinet. All right, guys, I'm going to go back inside the nice warm factory and do work.
Okay, thanks for coming on, Squib, and I'm sorry you're cold in your truck.
Oh, I'll live. Thanks for the link. Thanks for letting me on.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Anytime.
Squib.
Talking to you for 2 seconds.
What?
Dano was saying, nice to talk to you for 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Nice to talk to you too, Dano. I'll see you around gun channels.
Yep.
So what has been happening on gun channels, Dano?
I don't know.
I thought you
I don't live there, contrary to,
Well, neither do I, so I didn't know that you don't live there because I don't live there. So, but are you still doing the daily gun show thing, or have you?
No, I actually stopped that several months ago to show you how far outside loop you are.
Yeah. I know they went from like morning to evening or something, and
yeah.
But
just prior to that switch is when I left, and then that kind of freed them up to do it whenever hours they wanted to do it. So then they went to like the late show.
Yeah, I seen that when I came back the other day that they moved it to midnight.
Yes.
They should call it the midnight gun show or something like that.
No. I mean, we've tried almost every time slot from, early in the day to middle of the afternoon to late afternoon to real early evening. The only thing it's not been is prime time, and that's because they're looking for the same time slot every day of the week. And of course, there's other shows that are on during the week.
Yeah, they don't want to cork every other show.
Right.
But why were they looking for a new time at all? Why were they monkeying with
Just
it?
to get more traction, see if it was the timing of the show was of issue.
Well, you guys usually did have an interesting show. I mean, there were some parts that didn't appeal to me, but there was a lot of it was pretty interesting stuff most of the time.
It was kind of like a gun variety show where there are some parts that some people aren't going to like, and there are other parts that people will like.
And it's hard to be creative and have content every day of the week. I mean, just doing it once a week is hard enough for me. I mean, yes. I had the fortunate or unfortunate subject come up of a missile alert this week. So it gave me something to talk about anyway.
Whether it's regular gun news or the really, really big guns news, that stuff doesn't happen every week for you to give you a show.
Yes, we're gonna have. Well, hopefully not. If we have missile alerts every week, we won't have a show for long because we won't have a planet for long.
And it was easy for a while because we had the elections and we had all kinds of stuff there. And now we're just kind of in limbo, waiting to see what happens. We have some good bills that could be replaced, but I don't think they're going to happen until after the midterms. So.
Yeah, and there'll be a question of who wins the midterms and stuff like that, and are we going to get a bunch of Democrats and a bunch of gun control bills, and Trump will just veto everything, I suppose.
Yeah, then we'll be in a stalemate for another few years.
And Trump was saying that is how our government was designed to work. It was designed to be mostly stalemated because everybody has to agree for something to get done, and nobody ever agrees on anything.
But we do need to start accomplishing some stuff. And Trump has done what he has done so far has been good. For the most part, I think our economy is improving. Money seems to be strong, even though a lot of people don't think so.
I disagree. Yeah, I mean, I'm a gold, silver, ammo, and cryptocurrency guy, so I think the fiat currency system is dying, I don't. I know you don't.
Our dollar bill is stronger than any other country in the world right now.
Yeah, but that's not saying much.
Have you seen the markets on the value of the U.S. dollar lately?
What?
I mean, are you serious when you say that?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Well, not you, Dusty.
Yes, I watch it every day because that's my kind of my business. But
Okay, well, then you
I
should
mean,
be
we
aware
are
that
still
the U.S.
strong.
dollar has been hammered for the past couple of weeks.
It has
It's
been, but
losing
we are
value
still
almost every
strong
day.
compared to the rest of the world. But we are still strong compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
just
I'm
because
saying.
you can beat up a little 5-year-old doesn't mean that you're tough.
Yeah.
Yes,
When you're
but
losing
until
buying
your
power,
funny Bitcoin takes over, it will never take over as long as our dollar is better than the rest
I'm
of the
talking
world.
about the buying power of the U.S. dollar. When it's losing its buying power week after week after week, you cannot buy as many, whether it be loaves of breads or nuts and bolts. Doesn't matter.
Okay, my internet program is
buy internationally because it doesn't have the buying power it had before in the past.
Internet Explorer seems to be screwing up on me. I hope I can keep the show up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I agree with you, Dan. I mean, you look at my business, which I'm a grain farmer. You know, corn has went from over $4 down to around, I think today's bid was like 340. My cost per bushel is over $4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I can't sell grain right now and make any money. Soybeans are falling about the same way. But I mean, in my situation, I would be better off if our dollar crashed because then other countries could buy our grain and get something for buying our grain.
Are there two of me?
Yes, there is.
are.
Well, there was.
I'm curious, Dusty, and if you don't feel comfortable answering the question, that's fine. But would you be willing to, and this is not an offer, accept payment for part of your crop in another currency? And I don't mean Bitcoin. I mean in another country's currency.
No, probably not.
Okay.
Just because of exchange rates. I mean,
Gotcha.
you would
That
lose
middleman.
You would lose money right there.
Yeah. Well, the middleman always makes money on whether he's buying or selling because he's the middleman. He's always getting his cut.
In essence, I do it, but you know, that's done through the Chicago Board of Trade, not through somebody that I hire. You know, my local grain elevator is probably paying that middleman to make that contract. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's you're tied up through another middleman, which is your grain elevator, unless you happen to be fortunate enough to have your own elevator.
Right.
But you know, and I don't think people realize how many middlemen there are between the supplier and the grocery store.
Oh yeah, if you take that same bushel of corn and even like pick somebody like Kellogg's, which, you know, that's a local factory here for me. Look how many people handle that bushel of corn before it ever gets to Kellogg's and becomes cornflakes.
And then even then gets to the store from the trucker to the clerk that puts it on the shelf, from you, the guy that plants it and grows it, and everyone in between. The grain silo you got to store it in, the contract they have to make to sell it on your behalf,
and then people selling fake futures for it on the comics.
Yeah, and then, you know, somebody either buys it for Kellogg's or Kellogg's buys it direct, the contract.
And more than likely, they have a buyer buying it for them.
But
and
because
they
they are a
from
mass
that
producer,
buyer.
They may be big enough to do it internally, therefore cut out one of the middlemen.
Right.
Where a smaller producer may not have that option because he doesn't do the volume that General Mills does.
So can you grow anything when it's as cold as it is outside?
Right now, no.
I mean, when ice is frozen, you cannot extract liquid from it.
Well, I mean, potatoes grow underground, though. I mean, can you grow anything?
Not when the ground is frozen. I mean, you have to go down below the frost line. And when you're down below the frost line, you have no source to the sun for what's that in the leaves?
You could
photosynthesis.
Yes.
You could how you say it?
Hydroponic.
Hydroponic. You could raise something hydroponic if you wanted to put up a greenhouse in this area.
And you need power to do that, right?
No, we have enough sunshine that you could heat a greenhouse with sunshine. And probably you might have to put a heat source in there, but you probably could grow something that way. Which I'm saying you're going to build a big glass room. You're going to heat that glass room, and you're going to plant your seeds in a bale of straw or something. And you probably could grow something. But then the other problem you have is the seasons. Most seeds grow on seasons, and they sense chemical changes in the weather and in the soil to know when it's time to make fruit and when it's time to, grow.
We had this really interesting, funny text conversation a day or two ago about first. We were talking about the whole chopping wood thing, right? And I was saying, well, if Dusty said, well, if you come out to Michigan, you can chop wood, and I'll pay you $45 or something per truckload or something. And then I said, well, I haven't had a lot of practice with a chainsaw, but I when I was a kid, I used to split wood for our family's fire all the time, and I had a lot of practice splitting logs. And I was watching Terminator at the time, Rise of the Machines, and then Dusty said, well, I have a machine that a hydraulic log splitter or something. I was like, crap! I'm watching Terminator, and I've just been replaced by a machine. Because I'm really don't have any experience with chainsaw cutting. Because when I was a kid, my dad almost cut my arm off with a chainsaw, and I just barely got out of the way. And so ever since then, I've been like chainsaw, the little side of that. But I never had any problems. I split logs all the time.
And my whole point is by the time you buy that pickup, by the time you buy a chainsaw, by the time you buy my hydraulic log splitter, at $45 a pickup load, you will never make any money.
Right. Well, Mike Helton said he was doing it, and he was selling. I texted you all he was selling it for $60 a rick or $65 a rick, and which is
the same as $60 a pickup load. So just bump my price $15.
Yeah, but maybe and he was selling like 8 to 10 a week when it's cold in Tennessee. But it depends on the area that you live in, I guess, and how many customers you have and what they're willing to pay. He said he didn't raise his rates when it got cold, but he had more customers. I don't know. Here we would have a problem if I was to try and do that here. You can't do that here, basically, because the wood that grows on the volcano is ohia, and they have a rapid ohia death syndrome so you can't really move wood here legally anymore. You can't even you're not supposed to take it anywhere because there's a fungus that's killing the trees, and so they don't want people moving wood anywhere. Basically, if a tree falls down, you have to burn it where it is, and if it has fungus, you have to chop it down and burn it where it is. You can't move it, and they want you to wash at the bottom of your cars when you go from place to place, so that you don't move any of this cytosporosis. I don't know, some cyto something, but basically it's causing rapid ohia death syndrome, which is basically they've had that similar kind of problem with the various funguses for pine trees in Oregon and the Northwest. And so you can't just move firewood around if the wood that people are using is carrying a fungus. So they just pretty much ban moving wood. People still do it, but they're trying to stop that very much. So,
because I'm sure that the rich people are somehow getting wood for their fire somehow.
Oh, there's people that are willing to do it for that kind of money. But what I'm saying is, by the time you take a pickup truck that you've got, maybe let's say a used pickup truck, you got 20 grand in. Okay. The wood isn't growing on the road. So you're taking that truck off the road, driving it across the field, and you're going back, you're cutting a load of wood, you're loading it in that truck. It could be muddy. You could have snow on the ground. Okay, you get that truck stuck, you take a tranny out. So then you're going to spend another $3,000 to repair that transmission that you tore out to go cut a $45 load of wood. Or you got a chainsaw. They don't last forever.
Yeah,
Burn
he
up
said.
a chainsaw.
Well, he said once a month or so he has to replace a chain on his chainsaw, and he doesn't have an expensive chainsaw too. He didn't spend a lot of money on his chainsaw, and basically he said his expenses.
He's lucky.
Yeah, well, I guess he knows what he's doing too.
Well, he's lucky he hasn't had that major breakdown yet. But you throw one of those major breakdowns into the picture, and everything you made for the year goes out the window. Which I guess I'm a person that I look at the whole picture. But that I do the same thing as far as planting a crop. You know, when I do a budget for a crop I'm going to plant, I add in a breakdown. I add in that I could spend $10,000 on a maintenance or repair bill.
Speaking of crops, like one of our family's oldest friends, his main business, he runs an engineering firm, but he has a lot of side businesses, and he's a very old friend of our family. He was like there at the hospital when I was born because his son was born like 2 days later. Anyway, it turns out he's doing some farming in California, and you'll never guess what he's growing.
Hops.
Pot.
Right. Marijuana.
Oh, marijuana. Okay.
Legally. Yeah, it's a cash crop.
Oh, that's another good cash crop right now.
I mean, if he would have been doing that, of course, it's legal. They just passed some law to make it legal. I mean, it's not federally legal, but it's state law says it's legal, and I guess the cities are trying to catch up with all the permitting and stuff. But if I was,
they're popping up all over Michigan right now.
If I was to move back into California, I could get a job working in a pot farm.
I got to go take care of some laundry. I'll be back.
All right. Thanks. All right. Yeah, I haven't done my laundry today, but
I do let my wife do that.
Oh, that's it's nice to give your wife something to do, I guess.
Yeah, I'll cook, but she can do the laundry.
Well, didn't you say she cooked something for you last week, and that's why you couldn't show? But because you were
she did.
She ordered to eat dinner or something.
Yep, she did. She made me supper. Made me a special supper last Monday.
What was it?
Chop suey.
Oh, that's not
which
easy to
I
make.
love. No, and I love chop suey. And she don't like it, but I love it. So she made me something that I wanted.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Do you have it with that hot Chinese kind of mustard?
She didn't have any. I have had it with that though in restaurants and stuff, and I love it.
Yeah. So if you weren't hungry before this show, you will be by the end.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking about though, buying a few big bags of rice to add to my preps, white rice. Because that's relatively easy to cook. All you need to do is boil water, throw in a pinch of salt, and then leave it in the pot.
That's what my wife and I was at Sam's Club there. I guess it was Thursday afternoon. And I was looking at, they had 25-pound bags of rice.
For how much?
It seems like $15 or something like that. Because that's what I told her. I said, you
can live for a long time off of that. And if the shit hits the fan, people will kill for a bag of rice, literally. And it's like, it's so cheap right now. And it's amazing how the value of things can change if the just-in-time delivery system fails for whatever reason, the economy or nature, whatever.
And then we got talking, and I have grown up on meat and potatoes. I think every supper should have potatoes. So we spend a lot of money a week on potatoes because to me, it's not supper unless there's potatoes involved. But I told my wife, I said, 1 or 2 nights a week, we could have rice and save a little bit of money by eating rice instead of potatoes.
From California says he's already working on dinner. You should post what you're having, what you're cooking. I'm probably going to make spaghetti after this show because I can do that.
Well, right before the show started, I made some tilapia. Is that how you say it? Tilapia fish?
Yeah.
So I cooked a bunch of those and had fish. I had a fish sandwich for supper.
Well, I saved my Mountain House. Jesse on the external says Mountain House spaghetti. No, I have those big gigantic Costco spaghetti sauce jars that you get there, and the big plastic ones that are like, I don't know, a gallon of. So I'm like working my way through one of those, and I guess I know you hate the word organic pasta spaghetti, the whole grain ones, but that they sell at Costco because it's pretty inexpensive and it tastes pretty good. So, it's just pasta, so mix it with spaghetti and there it goes. I save my freeze-dried foods for when I will need them, and it's that stuff, all the Mountain House stuff, other than the taste test that I did for YouTube and just to find out if I liked it or not. The only reason I'll have a Mountain House if there isn't an emergency is to see if I like that particular flavor. So to help me decide if I should buy some number 10 cans of it. Like I tested the beef stew and I liked it. And so what I did was then I bought some number 10 cans of it. And so, if you're going to survive on it, you may as well see if you like it or not. I guess you can just survival eat, even bad tasting stuff, but it helps if it tastes good. So,
speaking of beef stew, I had a steer butchered last week, and I am going to I've always froze all my beef. I'm actually going to try canning some beef this time once it's butchered, because canning that should last forever. And if
you do it right,
so if the power grid goes out and my freezers go out, I will still have some beef.
Well, do you have animals on your farm or livestock?
I bought a steer from a neighbor.
Oh, okay. All right. So you don't usually grow. You don't usually have your own like cattle. You're not a cattle guy.
I used to raise them. I have a pen out back where I could raise some more, but my girls was at an age we started traveling and doing some camping throughout the summer, and you can't raise livestock and go on vacations and camp. You choose one or the other.
You need to have somebody look after it. Mike says to cold smoke the beef.
Okay, what's that? Where did you find him on that?
Mike Helton, Survival and Prepping, on the external. He says cold smoke the beef.
Colds.
I don't know. I've bought beef jerky, but I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I've seen people build a smokehouse. I know how to build a smokehouse, but.
Well, I have a smoker, but I'm not sure what he means by cold smoke. Just like 150 degrees or something, or which I don't have. That must be on the YouTube side.
Yeah, that's the YouTube external side.
Okay, and I don't have that open.
Yeah, that's why I'm reading it, just so we can get everybody in on it.
Can we get him to jump in?
He says make a smokehouse. All right, what I'm going to try and do is, I don't know. I sent Mike and John a link, and if anybody else wants a link through the YouTube messaging, so check your YouTube messaging. And he says make a smokehouse, basically, and not a smoker, I guess, make a smokehouse.
Okay.
I know how to make a smokehouse. I've seen like 5 YouTube videos of making smokehouses, and I think I saw one on Bushcraft on one of those channels on cable. Smoke coming in only, no fire in the smokehouse is what he says.
Okay. That's interesting too.
Yeah, you probably have to learn how to do that. I guess YouTube's a good way to learn anything. So.
Oh yeah, I'll have to Google that on you, or type it in a search on YouTube and see if I can find some videos.
Yeah. Okay. So you have your assignment.
Yep.
So hey, it's something that you like, because you like meat and potatoes. So that'll be just another way to process and enjoy your beef and potatoes.
And tomorrow I'm going to be using my electric smoker because I have a rack of ribs in the refrigerator that I've thawed, and I'm going to smoke ribs tomorrow.
I'm going to be so hungry. I'm going to have to eat like a whole mess of spaghetti by the time this chat is over. I mean, it says it dries out the outer skin and preserves it. That's what Mike said.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much the go to Costco and buy the smoke stuff kind of a guy, because I live in a condo and I don't have a farm or a pen for cows or a smoker. I just have the condominium barbecues, and I go to the butcher shop and back. It's like a 2-minute walk to the butcher shop, buy a steak and throw it on the barbie. So that's as close as I get to butchering cows.
Right, but you still could do it though. You could go to that butcher shop, buy yourself a rump roast, an arm roast, or something like that. Come back and throw it in your smoker. Actually,
where would I put a smoker? I can't do that. That's against the condo rules on the lanai. I don't think I could smoke inside the condo. I mean,
I'll bet you could set electric smoker on your lanai though.
Not according to the condo rules. You can't do anything like that on the lanai.
Okay, well, go buy yourself an arm roast, put it on your grill down there, buy some wood, it's
a propane grill.
Okay. Same difference. Buy some wood, and put it on a piece of foil. Make yourself a little bowl out of foil. Set that wood on the grill next to the meat you're going to cook. Close the lid on the grill and let it cook. And you will smoke that meat. You will get the smoke flavor.
Okay, so just put the wood on some aluminum foil in the grill. Okay, on the grill. Okay.
Yeah,
you can try that one time. What kind of? I mean, I'll have to find some good wood for doing that, because all we got out here is ohia.
Like Walmart knows, they smell smoke. They sell wood in packages to smoke with. You should be able to buy mesquite, apple, and everyone will give that meat a little bit different flavor if you like smoked meat.
I found that after recovering from the hardest thing in recovering from just changing your lifestyle and recovering from open heart surgery is learning how to cook healthy food. And so it's just one of those things I have to work on. I mean, I have a cookbook from the American Heart Association. And so it's just, there's so much that I don't know about. I mean, I know how to use all my guns and knives, but it's like cooking good food it's like, before, like my cardiologist before the surgery, he said, well, what did you have before you showed up at the emergency room? What did you have for dinner? And I said, well, I mean, I'm an American. I had ice cream sandwich, Doritos, and beer. and so I was like, I mean, what's wrong with that? It's like, put his head in his hand, shook his head from side to side, and said, that's not actually food. Well, it tasted good. But anyway.
Big Mac fries and a beer.
Yeah, well, I don't do fast food anymore. I don't. It was just the best part about it is how convenient it is. Just drive through and you're done. That's dinner, right? But it's just when I actually looked one time when I drove through, and it's like you see the saturated fat content, and salt is something I'm not supposed to have too much of. So
yeah. Lately, my wife's been hammering me on my salt intake.
Yeah, I mean, it was when I was in the recovery hospital. It was like they monitored every ounce of fluid, and the problem was the water retention. Is if you have salt, that's like a magnet for water, and then your heart has to work harder to pump out the water, and that's how I got in trouble and showed up at the emergency room by chugging tons and tons of ice water and having too much salt with it. But it's like when I was in the recovery hospital, they actually not only did they monitor how much water they gave me to drink, they also monitored the exact amount I was pissing out. So I had to piss into a bottle every time so they could measure it. And they had a log of it. And I was under fluid restrictions for like a month, I think. And that was something to get used to. I think I had a conversation with Sean from Florida Carry about all that after Edge's show, I think 2 weeks ago or 3, whenever it was. And we were just talking about, he was talking about having his appendix out and how that was for him. And I was talking about my recovery, because there was a recovery process for that, and which was different from my recovery process. Anyway, but it's you have to have your ice cold sweet tea. Mike says red oak and cherry is the best for smoking meat. Okay, I'll keep that in mind when I go looking for, which is not mesquite wood. People, I thought mesquite was okay.
If you like the flavor of mesquite. But I do like cherry.
Okay, I'll have to try and get me some of that and then just put it on some aluminum foil. I'll give that a try. I can do that. I usually just, I like that Stubbs barbecue sauce. It's pretty good. And they sell that at Safeway and Walmart. The original flavor is pretty good. And so that's what I usually throw on my barbecue steaks from. I don't use too much A1 steak sauce these days.
I like Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce too.
I pretty much favor any BBQ as long as it tends to be on the sweet side, not the hot side.
Okay.
In case anybody gave a shit.
I go both ways on that. I like sweet and I like hot. In the garden all summer long, I will raise jalapenos, habaneros, and this year I made some of my own, like Tabasco or hot sauce. And let me tell you, that turned out good, and it is hot. It's like one swallow of it'll make your eyes tear.
Well, nobody's putting wasabi on their like steaks that I know of, but it might be worth a try. See how it is. But all right. Dana, did you hear about the whole ICBM alert thing? You're in what state? Are you in Michigan too, or I forget what state Dana lives in.
I think he's in Illinois, isn't he? Near Chicago?
I don't know. He just dropped out.
Oh, okay. I think he's near Chicago in Illinois.
Well, Mike, let me see if I can find it at Walmart first before you go to the trouble of mailing me wood in the mail. Cherry wood. send me a rick of cherry wood in the mail. That'll cost a fortune in shipping. Mike's a great guy. I love his channel. And
you'll have to give me a link to his channel so I can go there sometime.
I'll do it. I'll put it on the internal in our right now.
Okay.
Give me a second. I'll probably even add him to my suggested channels page too on my YouTube page, but I can't do everything all at once. Let me get this thing happening here. Go to channel, open a new tab. All right.
Which I have a lot of Hiltons as neighbors in my area here.
Hiltons?
So, yeah.
Hotels or Paris Hilton or what?
No, the families with the name Hilton.
Oh, okay. Copy this link. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's see if I can find my way to Internet Explorer. Okay, hit the. All right. It's on the internal. Hey, John Z made it.
Hey,
Hi, John.
How's everybody doing?
We're still alive. No nuclear mushroom clouds over the state so far.
Oh, that Hawaii should be sending out messages to everybody whenever that happens. Never have anything to worry about.
I got one. He sent me a message that morning.
You're in Hawaii?
No, I'm in Michigan.
Oh, nice. Oh, you got one from Hawaii, so you know you're safe. Okay.
Yeah, well, I texted him because we have this like ongoing, like 10-year-old. I don't know. I mean, it's just like a 10-week-old text message.
With the government you have in Hawaii, hopefully the only message you will get is from the Hawaii government. The way they waste money, they can't even get a messaging system right. So at least you're good there.
I don't understand how that is been. What are you saying is good about this?
Absolutely nothing, except for the fact that if it's coming from Hawaii, you know there's absolutely nothing to worry about.
No, well, I'm still trying to figure out whether they were the whole thing was just a lame cover-up of something that actually did happen, or they actually really are that incompetent.
I honestly were never going to believe, and they, like the current story, which is what I've heard, is that someone pressed the button. There was a confirmation to press it again.
Are you sure you want to do this?
There wasn't a third confirmation. There was only two. And the genius, a federal employee,
state employee,
I got nothing better to do. Press the button. I got to go to lunch.
But really, what I was saying earlier in the chat is that if you saw the news conference, the state emergency manager, director in charge of the federal of the state management agency said when the press asked him who pressed the button, and he said that's another personnel question. I'm not going to answer that. It's like he's more afraid of the government employees union than he is of North Korean missiles.
Listen. The government, whether it's federal, state, or city, there are some bad government agencies that they will keep people on who shouldn't be on the job. And after a screw up like this, I'm pretty sure no one will get fired. Someone will be reprimanded. Someone may lose a pay scale, but that's government for you.
They said they just moved him to a different job or something,
and that's where they're going to be. They're not going to get
nowadays
fired.
You can't fire anybody.
Yeah, and it's
have you ever tried to fire an employee?
Well,
did you guys did you guys hear about the postman who didn't want to go to work and instead, I mean, this is probably old, and instead of going to work, he just took the mail home and burnt it. Did you hear about that?
But that's not even technically a government job.
It's a government job with no checks and balances like any other bad government agency.
Yeah.
Look at the ATF. You're going to tell me those people, with all the years of experience they have with the laws and all that stuff, you're going to tell me they're going to take the word of some crooked left politicians to change the definition of something that they already know what the definition is because they've already stated what the definition is? I'm not going to get into the conversation of what it was, but you get what I'm saying. So you can't tell me they're not corrupt and they're not.
Oh, the mayor of the island that I lived on put hookers on his government credit card and got away with it.
And it's not the first mayor.
He beat the rap. He beat the rap in court.
What about the mayor that was in the airport and decided to whip out his gun in California and start shooting at the birds? He didn't get arrested. He got cited. That's all he got. You're going to pull out your firearm, start shooting at the birds in an airport. Seriously. And you're going to get away with it? I don't see anybody else doing that and getting away with it. Do you?
Well, No, I don't. But
So they're lazy. There's no checks and balances in government. It's all based on who you know, not what you know, and just keep your mouth shut and you'll be okay. That's basically how the government works.
Mm-hmm. And look at what they're getting away with.
Mm-hmm.
right,
You know, you start.
It almost makes you want to root for a debt collapse, but not quite, because the consequences would be too severe. It's just it seems like it's going to happen eventually anyway. But you know, who knows? It's all you can do is be as prepared as you can possibly be, and so you can ride out whatever bumps come our way, and hopefully they're not too big.
Just rack in those mountain house.
Oh, I am. I mean, it's not like I have a farm and can grow where I am right now. So
Well, you guys were making me get so hungry, and I'm trying to do my liquid diet this week. You guys were talking about those steaks and potatoes and grilling and
yeah, and somebody wants to send me some smoking wood. It's like all the way from Tennessee. It's like that's almost too much trouble.
See,
I'm gonna have to send you back some coffee if you do that.
I watch videos all the time of preppers and people going on camping trips and that kind of stuff. I love that stuff.
I binge watched that when I was in the hospital recovering. I binge watched prepper videos. That's all I did.
I don't know what the cookers are like because I've never had one. I've never used one. I've seen people use like the special kind of woods. They say there's certain woods you should not use to cook food, and certain woods that are really good for the flavor. And then you have the pellet stoves as well. The pellet.
Well, I like the side by side cooking ones. But we don't have one of those at the condo. So
what's a side by side?
That's one where the wood is in a different. It's like right in there. You got the main grill with where you put your food on, your meat. Right. And then next to that is a different container that's connected by a little airway duct, but that's with the wood burns in the container.
Oh, you're talking
to the side, and then you control the temperature by how much air you have on there's like a flue on the main cooking area.
Oh, you're talking about the cookers that use the pellets or the wood.
Yeah, it's a side by side barbecue.
So I've never tasted food made on those things, but I hear only good things about them. I would love to get one. I would love to get one of the good ones, but I know that they're not cheap.
They're not that. The side by side cookers aren't that expensive. The propane. Yeah, Mike says. Cut it. All right. Well, he said it's about the woods you should use. I'm trying to find where he wrote it down. Don't use pine or cedar.
Right. The pine you shouldn't use because it's full of the
chemicals because it's processed, right?
And it's also flammable. You don't want to eat it. You don't want to eat that. It's like eating a burger that you burn directly on a fire off the stove. You don't want to eat that.
Well, we're gonna have some kind of barbecue hangout where everybody does a podcast. Everybody's broadcasting from their barbecue area. See how many hungry viewers we can get,
or make.
So, what part of the country do you live in, John?
Why do we have to go through this every time?
Because I forget, and I'm an old guy, and my mind.
I'm in New Yorkistan City.
New Yorkistan, okay. Sorry I brought it up, but it's cold there too, I imagine.
It's cold, and we're gonna have snow for Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe, and probably should start tonight or something.
All right, and
it's been about 10 degrees the last 2 days, 15 degrees maybe.
That's the one thing about Hawaii. It may get nuked. The volcano may blow up all by itself because we're in a solar minimum, but it's warm.
That's one of Hawaii's selling points.
Yeah, great weather, the ocean, the beach.
You might get burnt by a volcano, but it's warm.
Yeah. Well, of course, the super volcano blows up, then you guys in the mainland will Yeah, it'll be a big, it'll be a bug out like to another continent kind of
Talk
deal.
about cleaning. Talk about cleaning up the government real quick.
Well, anyway, the good news is Hawaii is still here. Nobody nuked anybody. No nuclear detonations occurred, and if there ever was a missile, they're denying it.
Hey, Trump's button is bigger anyway, so it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
my button is bigger than her button. But it definitely gave me, you think of all the. I was like gonna go and play all my Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes, like my favorite one. Where is it?
Hold on a second. You can't do an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What do you
Hold
mean
on
I
a
can't?
second. You can't do Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice recorded. You have to do them, and you have to do them in the accent.
It's easier to just play the recording because I don't monetize this show.
Well, no, but I'm saying if you're going to do Arnold Schwarzenegger, you have to do Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, I don't. I can just hit the button. There, see, I don't monetize it. If anybody wants to support the show, send us Bitcoin. But
I'll send you all my Bitcoin as
I know you don't have. You don't have to. Don't send me all your Bitcoin, dude.
I got a stash of it over here.
Well, doesn't everybody?
No, I got my little box. It's full of Bitcoin. I'll send it to you.
All right.
I thought Bitcoin was valueless.
What are you talking about? It's taking up a whole 4x4 space in my house.
Oh,
It's just intangible, so it confuses the feeble-minded. That's all. Anyway, this show's getting long in the tooth. I want to thank everybody on Gun Channels on YouTube for just being in the text chat, and thank you. And it's been an interesting show. It's getting a little long in the tooth, and we have got to get to the chopper. So we'll see y'all next week, hopefully, if the planet's still here. And we're going to get to the chopper. Everybody stay safe, stay prepped, and fight the good fight. Keep your group tight. Oh, yeah, my Tavor is invincible. My Tavor is invincible.